This is the Oneness Podcast, episode 47. I am Jessica Delmar. I assist in strengthening your knowledge of who you truly are as a powerful creator being during these powerfully shifting times. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am back after taking some time off. So here we are, kicking up a new season of the Oneness Podcast. There's been so much integration happening over the past 2 years, and this year has really asked me to retreat and go inward a lot for long periods of time, especially in between our podcast seasons. So there's a lot energy-wise that I've been working with and activating and connecting with and really just learning and listening to. And the big lesson that has occurred, especially over these past few months, has been about integrating our infinite potential into our physical forms. So what's been happening lately is very much Spirit has been asking me to tend to the body, right? Tend and nurture the body. Bring the body up to speed with your spiritual evolution, with the work that you're doing in the non-physical, because we're all working on the leading edge in the non-physical. We're all doing so much work in spirit form, in energy form, in the astral realm. And so there's a big call to action at this time to come back to the body and bring all of that energy that we've been working with in the non-physical, all of that expansion, bring it back to the body so that we can move together, take those next steps together, physical and non-physical, in harmony, in alignment, to kind of get over this sort of hump, if you will, and start a new journey, a new cycle together. So there's that constant kind of push and pull between the physical and non-physical as the non-physical goes out into the leading edge and works so much in the non-physical, in the energy realms, that it's hard for the physical form to keep up. But right now, as we move into the new year, 2022, again, it's like asking for us to unite physical and non-physical so that we can take that jump together. And we're going to talk more about that in this episode and in the episodes to come in this season, really how to bring that physical energy or the non-physical energy back into the body and take those leaps together. And the purpose for this is because I know a lot of us are desiring to manifest some really big things moving forward, especially in the next cycle that I feel sort of started with 2021, but it really takes off with 2022. So in order for those big things to manifest, we have to get our physical and non-physical energies into alignment. So how has your year been? I'm wanting to kind of know what you've been going through. I know it's been interesting and for some very difficult. It has been a year that has granted deep reflection into the inner being, your connection with Source. I have a inner being retreat, a 21-day inner being retreat that I did a couple of years ago that I'm going to put back up on my website if you want to join that retreat and kind of do it on your own. But before I put it back up on my website, I'm just going to kind of review it and bring it up to date with where we are right now. And then I'll post it. I'll let you know when I post it. But that will be a really good thing to look into if you're desiring to kind of know, what is this inner being? How can I connect with my inner being? It is your connection with your inner source, your inner voice, right? Deep connection to who you truly are within yourself. There is so much to learn and so many layers to dive through, but all of it aids in your expansion in one way or another. So understand that even if you are in suffering, there is expansion. Even your resistance, if you're in resistance, there is expansion. In your frustration, there is expansion. Every path, whether good or bad, are doorways of expansion if you are able to recognize your potential no matter where you are, especially in the darker corners of your experience. They are asking you to dive even deeper within yourself to find your alignment with your infinite potential. You see, potential is a powerful thing right now because every time your infinite potential is recognized within who you truly are, recognized within your being, recognized in your experience. You solidify your crystalline structure one now moment to the next. And this eventually builds one brick after another, or transforms you into your new earth physical form, and therefore new earth physical experience. Your crystalline structure is calling strongly at this time because it will determine the layer of experience that you're going to move into in the next cycle, especially starting in 2022. And this next cycle, I keep getting 7, so it could be like a 7-year cycle in terms of a completion. So this chunk of time, it's kind of like you're leaping into that experience right now. And so your higher selves, your souls, want you to align to a cycle in which you experience your greatest potential, your infinite potential in form in your experience. So 2022 is a strong gateway towards potential, and all you have to do is align with it. There is so much distraction in the world right now, so the push and pull between worlds will become stronger as your soul desires you to focus on your infinite potential, but the old you, the old reality, desires you to focus on the illusion. So this is the information that came through for today's episode that I want to share with you. And it talks about these 2 paths that are really opening right now in order for you to align to your evolution, essentially. They come through as 2 separate energies. And to describe these 2 separate energies, the vision that came through was this white hole energy and this black hole energy. So I'll read what came through. The stage is set for enlightenment beyond belief, but before that occurs, the sifting of souls must happen. There is powerful light and dark energy playing out. Dark energy is playing out because the world construct at this time offers a playground for dark energy to rise from the pits of lost souls within the earth. This is the energy of what you might call hell, which was constructed by the human collective mind, therefore manifested as dark pits of energy within the earth's core that held lost souls of the earth plane. This energy is rising because it does not exist in the renewal of new earth. The constructed hell energy that is rising is simply stuck energy within the body of Gaia, some of the deepest, darkest, and obstructed energies. The gates of hell opening is the release of this energy, and it rises to the surface. Again, hell is just a construct of the human mind, right? The collective mind. It's not necessarily real, but it is connected to very deep, dark, and obstructed energies sort of caught or stuck deep within the earth that I would say is both part of the manifestation that the human mind, the collective mind, has created for itself. But also, if you think of the earth as a body, just like your body, you have deep, dark, stuck energy that you're working to release, or that you have released or healed and whatnot. So the same thing goes for the earth. She collects a lot of the dark energy, especially from the human collective, into her body, especially in her heart, and it has just become stuck. So that's just that very deep, tar-like, dark energy that is at this time rising. But a lot of people will perceive it as that sort of hell-like energy because that's their perception of it. So when I mention that sort of hell, it's only because that's sort of the word that is connected to it based on human perception. So the gates of hell opening is essentially the release of this energy, and it rises to the surface. In its rise, many people will find attachment to it, and it will attach to many people. Do not fear. Its black energy is a rider in the night. It cannot touch those who hold light and who shine their light in every corner of their reality. So this is very much like the energy that rises within you. When you have that deep, stuck, dark energy that rises through you, it's going to rise through physical ailments. It's going to rise and manifest as emotional things that come through as feelings, right, through your senses. Most of the time, that energy just needs openness within you to be released. But there's a lot of times where a person will feel that energy rising because they physically feel it. They're going to create resistance within themselves and prevent that energy from fully escaping and fully rising through them and moving through them. And so then you get caught in that cycle. The energy is rising, but your resistance prevents it from fully rising. So you obstruct it, you cork the energy, and you just sort of cycle. That creates a cycle of energy within you. So the same thing will happen when the energy rises and is rising from the earth right now. Many people will attach to it, especially if they're in vibrational alignment with that dark energy rising. And as they attach to it, as that energy attaches to them as well, it makes their own deep, dark energy more stronger, more solidified, and gains momentum within them. But know that if you hold light, this is why it's so important, the two different paths. It's all vibration, it's all energy. So just know that if you hold light, the darkness cannot touch you. And you must believe, you must have faith, you must trust in your journey and your experience that your protection will hold you in that space. Those touched by the darkness will be swallowed into the hole of not hell, but that sort of black hole energy, where the soul's energy will be strongly renewed and transformed. I've spoken about this before in terms of black holes and how its energy feels like it, when things get sucked into it, the energy simply transforms. Essentially, the black hole and the white hole are both portals back to source. But how the energy is sort of cycled through each of the holes are very different. And I'll talk more about that. There are simply two avenues playing out, with two different paths to the same thing, which is source. The two paths are light and dark, white hole and dark hole or black hole. So this information that I'm sharing with you today actually came through this year in October, and we spoke about this information more in our monthly membership group, but right now is very much a time where it wants to be shared through this podcast at this moment. So I want to read to you the information that came through from our October Soul Group call, because it's divinely connected with this black hole and white hole energy. So what came through is that the white hole is an open field of possibility and potential. It shows me a vision of being in a place of white. So white all around you, very much like the scene if you've seen the Matrix movie, where they're in that all white space and you can basically conjure anything that you desire. The white hole has enormous potential for creation. It is a place within yourself that exists concentrated within your light. You can hone into the white hole by realizing your fullest potential, or your infinite potential, and wedging yourself in between possibility and reality. You are infinite creators, but your limiting mindset has also limited your potential. However, you are here for a purpose, which is to remember that you are beyond limitation. The black hole, on the other hand, is the inversion of the white hole. While the white hole is full of potential, the black hole is empty, or more so void of potential and full of enigma. It is unknown energy, like flying into a dark lightning storm. Its energy works in a powerfully destructive way, but it must be this in order to balance the energy of the white hole. The black hole feels void, yet it is not at the same time. It feels like an immense abyss and is thick with heavy energy. It is not light or expansive like the white hole. There is no echo, but it is heavy and dense. The purpose of the black hole is to form the unconscious, but even the unconscious is not void of anything, technically. The black hole seems unknown and dense with emptiness, but it is actually full of everything, just unknown and unconscious, and in the process of returning to the light to be known, to be made conscious. The purpose of the black hole is to hold the unconscious, a strong enough field to relay greatness, but also limitation. The black hole is also within you and swallows your potential into limitation. Both the black hole and the white hole are within you and offers two pathways to source. They are also very polarizing within you. The white hole is that limitless potential, right? Infinite potential being recognized within you, while the black hole swallows that potential into limitation within you. So that's really like the power struggle. And right now where we are is it's trying to ask you, who do you, or which side do you want to give your power to? And both the black hole and the white hole extend their fields of energy into everything within you, into everything, especially self-identity, your worthiness, self-reflection. So many different layers within you are affected. And so again, what are you giving your power to? The white hole, infinite potential, or the black hole, which is that sort of destructive limitation energy? Essentially, what's happening is we want to create balance, right? Because it's kind of like that yin-yang symbol, black hole and white hole, they exist together in the body. But right now it's so imbalanced. Energy is like raging one way or the other. And ultimately, it's just all about balance. How can we bring those two polarizing energies back to center, back to balance, back to perfect harmony? So black hole and white hole must be in unison together. I guess that's essentially the journey that we're on, is bringing those energies together to be balanced. Again, like the yin-yang sort of symbol. And you do this by three things came through. Number 1, revitalize the mind to receive the love of the universe. So there's that whole journey within the mind that needs to take shape, revitalizing the mind to receive the love of the universe. Number 2, renew the heart to experience reality not as human, but as spirit and form. So from the mind space, we go into the heart space, renewing the heart, revitalizing the mind. And number 3 is re-energize the gut, to ground the spirit into form so that your reality manifestation is in alignment with your universal nature. So I'll say those 3 things again that will help to balance the black hole and white hole within you from polarizing opposites into more of a centered energy, for greatest potential to be understood and recognized in the body and created through the body, expressed through the body. Number 1, revitalize the mind to receive the love of the universe. Number 2, renew the heart to experience reality not as human, but as spirit and form. And number 3, re-energize the gut to ground the spirit into form so that your reality manifestation is in alignment with your universal nature. These 2 paths, the white hole and the black hole, are within you right now. You know that your reality is an illusion of the mind. With these potent energies at the moment, it may feel very real, but the question is, how real do you actually feel? While your mind is attending to the illusion of your false reality, your energy consciousness is building on the leading edge. When you feel like your energy and body are not syncing up, it is because your energy is fueling a part of you that your awareness is not aligned with. Your energy is fueling a form that aligns with the leading edge that you are creating. If your awareness in form is currently focused on limitation, then you are not being nourished by the infinite potential of both your now moment and leading edge consciousness field. You see, you have to choose what form to give awareness to. Your inner black hole and white hole are both very potent within you. As they thrive, so does your physical and the awareness of where you are in your physical. When your black hole consumes you, you are in magnificent destruction, taking part in a reality that consumes energy, destroys matter, and enables intellectual warfare. This is because you must know that the mind consumes and eradicates with an insatiable desire for more. However, in more is less, because in the unknown unconscious field of black hole energy is a field of concentrated energy constantly swallowing itself, regurgitating everything it touches as unknown and unconscious. This is what perpetuates fear, turmoil, suffering, conflict, and ego unaware of itself as more than illusion. It's not a bad place to be, because bad essentially is a judgment upon what you feel is good. When judgment opens within you, you flow into the black hole, because judgment is a path of destruction. Judgment is what defines reality for many people. And this is why the inner black hole is dominant over the inner white hole in many people. Judgment is what always drives attachment. When there is judgment, there is an energetic response that says, I believe my world to be a specific way, and my reaction to the world warrants how I exist in the world and how I perceive others to exist in the world. That is the energy of judgment being held in the body. The problem with this is that it creates attachments to worldly, external situations, circumstances, experiences, and even people to continue to create that which you perceive. When the world begins shifting, the attachments begin breaking because there is nothing firm or permanent. When the world shifts and the attachments break, how does a person respond? Are they flexible enough to shift with the changes? Or has their attachments become so stiff that they are unable to move as the world moves? This is what your time in this world is currently asking you. Everything is changing, and many things that people are firmly attached to through their inner judgments are changing. So it requires a shift within you to move with how the world is moving. Thankfully, the path to shift is within each of us, and you've had it all along. It was simply overridden by the other path. This path to shift that I'm talking about is the white hole path. It is the path of least resistance. When you let go of the attachments that kept you in a limiting mindset and controlled reality, you fall into the white space within. When you let go of the attachments that kept you in a limiting mindset and controlled reality, you fall into the white space within. It is not tangible, yet you can feel it. It is the path of least resistance. And what we mean by this is that your decisions in your life are no longer based upon false notions of the self. You never realize how much your attachments and your judgments enable an inner vibration of fight or flight and constant resistance due to the need to maintain a specific energy of pushing or pulling for or against something. Many do not realize the resistance being held within them in their lives because it's really just their normal feeling of existing and being. However, just to give you an idea, let's look at the example of going to a 9-to-5 job each day. Going to a 9-to-5 job each day for some people is a tremendous source of inner resistance. This is within a lot of people on the planet that I can feel, because it goes against what they truly desire out of life. And every day that they go to work, they are energetically vibrating resistance without really knowing it. It's kind of like the background energy that makes up their being. And if going to work 9 to 5 makes up most of their day, which makes up most of their week, then resistance becomes their dominant vibration. But you see, that energetic cycle is more than just the job creating the resistance, but the job is maintained because the judgments the person has of their world, meaning that there's a constant push and pull generated through many other judgments. And the 9-to-5 job is just sort of the glue that keeps all of their judgments together and in place. So those judgments that I'm talking about is, for example, the need to provide for the family, right? This also is expectations, judgments, expectations. They kind of fall under the same vibration. There is also the thought form or judgments that a person needs healthcare, right? A retirement fund. They need to contribute to society and exist in society in a certain way. And all of this is built upon judgments and attachments of how the world is and how they're supposed to exist in the world. Go to the 9-to-5 job in order to provide for the family, get the healthcare, get the retirement fund, contribute to society, all, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all, piled on top of each other. The shift is not easy. It is step by step by step that you have to be vibrationally shifting. But eventually, when you just let go and surrender, you release the judgments, you release the attachments, you release the resistance. And when that happens, the white hole embraces you in an energetic field of open possibility and potentiality. Again, it's not easy, nor is it comfortable, because the limiting mindset will tell you otherwise, right? It'll tell you how things should be based upon those old concepts and thought forms of how your reality is. But to fully experience the path of the white hole is to experience unconditional love by the Creator, knowing who you truly are and being supported and uplifted through divine faith and trust. It creates a bond to what humans know of as spirituality, thus the spiritual journey, but is simply a bond between a human and their infinite potential. I thought that was an interesting piece of information that came through. What even our thoughts about spirituality is a judgment and creates attachments. So what we know of as spirituality, in grasping what it is simply a bond between a human, you, and your infinite potential. That's all it is. Judgment of what is can only lead to more questions, but accepting what is in full surrender leads to inner peace. To begin to balance out the paths that you hold within, the white hole path or light energy, expanding energy, surrender, potential, possibility, or the black hole path, the dark energy, the unconscious, limitation, and destruction energy. To balance these two paths out, you must begin to understand what you are holding too tightly to. And as I'm reading this, what's coming through is that a balancing needs to be met, because the dark hole or the black hole energy is essentially our connection with physicality. It's our connection with this illusionary reality that will continue as an illusion, because this is an experience, right? This is not who we truly are. Who we truly are is the white hole energy, the light energy path, which is our full infinite potential. But if we were to exist fully in that white hole path, we would be light. We would not necessarily be able to exist within our physicality. And so the black hole energy and the white hole energy, those two different paths must meet and must come together. There's been such imbalance, especially towards the black hole energy, with emphasis on the physical, right? With emphasis on the illusion. And so bringing them together brings our infinite potential in body, which is everything that I've been sitting closely with over the past few months and learning from and understanding more of. Bringing our infinite potential in body. That's so important right now. So to start off, because most people have so much emphasis and weight placed upon their dark hole energy path, let's start there. What are you holding too tightly to? Where are your limitations, judgments, and attachments? What can you let go of to help kind of fly a little bit, expand more, open more towards pulling more of that white or light whole energy into your experience and your being? When you pinpoint the energy behind these things, you will see the path to where they lead more clearly. And you must choose what path that you want to continue to follow. But more so, we want to balance them both, right? But choosing more of the infinite potential, the white hole, light hole energy path, starts to balance out the dark black hole energy. But also remember that black hole energy manifested is suffering and dark energy, but also it's not bad. It is one that many are going to be following and are following simply because their lessons, growth, and even potential are birthed from that path. They have to go down that darker path. They have to go down the black hole path because that's where they will meet their potential. The thing with the human experience is that we learn from our mistakes. We learn from our suffering. We learn from our fears. We learn from our pain. There's so much growth there. And so that's also in experiencing the dark path, the black hole energy within us. We find our potential. We confront our potential by also confronting the suffering, pain, and illusion of our reality, of our experience. So it's not bad. It's a path to potential. It is also the path that many of us have already been on. We've learned from it already because it's needed, again, for most people to even understand what surrender means. To understand what surrender means, you have to first understand to let go, right? So how can you let go if you've already let go? You have to get to a point of such tightness, such resistance, such tight hold on something, such attachment, to fully know what it feels like to let go, to fully know what it feels like to surrender. So you have to go to those darker places. That's why the black hole energy is so powerful in our experience of being human beings. And when you understand what that surrender and that letting go feels like, that's when you can finally fall into the open arms of the other path that is always available inside of you, but not always acknowledged, seen, or known until you're pushed into really those dark corners where you're forced to let go, you're forced to surrender, you're forced to just be in acceptance. You let go and you kind of fall back and realize that you are supported on the other side too once you let go. This is the path of truth and light, which is that white hole energy manifested. So that is what came through for this episode. A lot of information to start off this new season of the Oneness podcast. I'm so thankful that you are here sharing this with me. This is a powerful journey that we are walking, starting off or walking into 2022. So there's a lot more information that wants to come through to be shared, hopefully in more tangible and understandable ways to this physical human experience, to this now moment, bringing it back here to the now and truly building that relationship between us and our infinite potentials here and now. Thank you so much for being here. I think I'm going to start posting the written transmissions of these podcasts to my website, just because I know that in reading, you're also activated in so many ways, and in listening, you're activated in so many ways. So if you want to read through the transmission to get a better understanding, then definitely visit my website, jessicadelmar.com, and go to the library tab. And if the transmission is not posted on the day that the podcast is posted, it will be posted sometime during that week, whenever I get the chance to. And if you sign up for my newsletter on my website, I'll send out an email when I do post the transmission. But again, thank you so much for being here, for listening in, and for all of your support. This podcast can now be found on all podcast platforms. Listen and subscribe on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, and YouTube. I'll see you in the next episode, and remember that all is truly well. Oneness, love, and peace be with you.